For the last 3 years, the Arctic Numpties have been selling out shows up and down the UK, trying their very best to imitate the car-era Arctic Monkeys. Join us in today's video as we take a behind-the-scenes look at all of the guitars, pedals, drums, keyboards and other gear that goes into making the Numpties the world's most authentic tribute to the Arctic Monkeys. We are the Arctic Numpties, and this is our rig rundown.
Hi guys, I'm Sheep. This is my drum kit. I'm currently using a British drum company Legend Series kit. It consists of a 12 by 8 tom, 22 by 18 kick, and a 16 by 16 floor tom. This the finish on the kit is actually a very rare finish. You can only get it. Well, you could only get it about 3 years ago, I believe. It's called the EHX finish, and it's pinstripe basically. But yeah, I love this kit. I love British Drum Company. Like they're very good kits. Cymbals wise, we're using Zildjians all around. On the crashes, we've got the A medium fins. This is a 19, and across to here we've got the 18. Really bright crashes, really sharp, and it just cuts through everything. Over here, this is the same ride Matt uses. It's the Zildjian K crash ride, and yeah, it's a 20-inch. It gives it a nice washy sound. And my hats, they're A custom, so a bit different to the crashes, but it's just the A family again in Zildjian. Snare wise, on the kit, I've got a bit of a different one. I've got a Tama Superstar, because I'm just trying out a different snare for the first album, let's say, and I'm also borrowing it off a mate, because down here, this is my main stage snare. This is my Gretsch. It's got an Evans head on it, Genera HD, but the reason I'm not going on the kit at the moment is I accidentally popped the head last night, so I'm having to use this snare right now. In terms of tech-wise, we've got SPD over here. This runs all the percussion samples, so I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little clap sound now. That should be the Do I Wanna Know clap. We also used to run backing tracks on that, but we don't anymore. Now we use this system over here, which is the Behringer 32 rack. We run the click track out of that. We run also backing tracks, and yeah, it's a mighty piece of kit, and basically we'd be a bit buggered without it. Sorry. All the click tracks and backing tracks, they are coming from the laptop, and that goes into the 32 and then out to either our ears or front of house. Click track also comes from Ableton. Ableton is a DAW, so it's a digital audio workstation. Basically, we've got all the tracks for every song that we play now, and it's just in an order. We'll set up the set list, and then I'll just click through them, and then it'll trigger for the rest of the band. We can all hear the click, and then that's basically how we keep in time. And then the only other thing really is my vocal mic. So this is the SE V7. Again, same, everyone uses them in the band, really trusty mics, and they're really directional as well, so when you're behind the kit, won't pick up a lot of the other drums, which is really handy as a drummer. Right, I'll give you a quick demo. So this is how it sounds at the moment. It's a very loud kit, but perfect for stage, very deep toms, very bright cymbals, and yeah, it's basically my dream kit, can't complain. Favourite Monkeys thing to play on stage is probably the Pretty Visitor's main drum lick, where it's literally a triplets around the kit. You're starting with a crash and you go like this. You're basically just going round and round and round, like etc, etc, etc. If I started anything else to my kit, it would probably be a little sub that you can attach to your stools. This isn't currently my stool at the moment, this is the keyboard stool. Again, broken it, but we'll get to that in a sec. Yeah, you can put a little amp underneath it, and basically that just gives you the sub frequencies, so I can feel the kicks, I can feel the bass when Bucky's playing the bass, and yeah, it just makes my life a lot easier. I'm not always just relying on what's in my ears, I can also feel a bit on stage. Speaking of ears, I'm currently using the Ultimate Ears 6Bs. They're bass enhanced 6 driver in here. See there, just very clear shell, very plain, and even on the inside, you have my initials in red and blue, so I always know what's left and what's right. The way I listen through my in-ears is through this machine called the P1. It's a Behringer P1. They're very cheap actually, it's really surprising how cheap they are. But basically I'm just wired in through these 2 XLRs. They'll come from either the monitor desk or our wing rack, whatever the situation at the time. And yeah, I just plug in and I've got the whole mixer, and it's perfect. It makes my life a lot easier. Saves having a big wedge there to blast into my eardrums. Oh, sticks, of course. Never changed and never will. Pro Marks, forward 5As. Really good sticks. I used to use the rebounds, if anyone knows what the Pro Mart sticks are. The rebounds were good for when we were playing more car stuff, but now we're playing a lot of the first album. I need quick sticks, I need something with a bit more power, and yeah, these help out a lot. So yeah, basically that's my kit. Love every part of it, honestly, and the way it sounds, it always makes me smile on stage. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.
Hi, I'm Nathan from the Arctic Numpties, although most people call me Bucky. I play Nick O'Malley, which means I play the bass and I do some backing vocals. And this is my rig rundown. So here I've got my Ben's Marquee. This is the bass he played at, it's not the bass he played at Hillsborough Park, but it's the same model bass that he played at Hillsborough Park in the shows recently. It's a very nice bass, a little bit damaged. It's got some nice single coil trisonic pickups, which are very high and top endy. It's got a nice graphite nut on there, which is very good, and lovely gold things on it, which I really like. Usually they're silver. So yeah, love that bass. Yeah, and my other bass is a Fender P Bass in a nice tobacco sunburst, which he's used for donkey's years, going back to the first album. It's got a lovely maple neck on there. And on this one, I tend to use only ball flat wound strings, which I really like. They've got a nice warm, deep sound. So I'm going to show you how it sounds now. Yeah, so this is the Helix that I use. It's similar to Tomo's. This is the LT rather than the full version. I'm going to run you through my setup now. So I only have 3 channels. I've got A, B and C. This one here is a nice clean one. And you can see down here, we've got 3 things on it. I've got a distortion here, which is not enabled on this one because of course it's clean. Then I have the Ampeg B15 amp sim here. Now this is the amp that Nick O'Malley uses on stage. Of course we try and be as accurate as possible, so I've gone for that. And this is a B15 cab, again for the same reason. These two stay exactly the same throughout all of these. The only thing that changes is how much of this I use. So you'll see if I move to that one, this level's changed a little bit, which gives it a bit more bite. And this one, it's even more. So, how do they sound? And a clean one is like this. I might use it for like snap out of it, but like yeah. This is more of a crying lightning sort of tone, as I say, a little bit more bite. It's like a. And this one's for when I really want to turn it up, like a Pretty V or a Brainstorm. Yeah, so that is my Helix. Those are all the settings I use. And yeah, I think that about covers it. Of course. Yeah. So on all the channels, you can see here that there are 2 lines. This line here is a completely clean DI signal coming out this side on the right. And this one is the amp signal. So as you can see, the ones with the amp sim, those come out of that line there. And then this one up here is just nothing on, comes out there. And that's really helpful for the sound tech because it lets them add in the low end that sometimes gets lost, especially on channels B and C because of the distortion. So that just helps them make it sound really nice and full out front.
Play a bit and I'll A B it, just be like, oh yeah, so this is with the DI, this is without the DI. Even in whatever channels, it don't really make much difference, and I'll just turn it off and on in the video.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, just as an example of that, this is Brainstorm with and without the DI. Yeah, and that completes my rig rundown. I don't use the expression pedal, but sometimes I will leave my foot on it.
Hello, I'm Ben and I have the pleasure of playing Alex Turner in the Arctic Numpties, and I'm going to go through some of my stuff that I've got running on gig days and the equipment I use. So we'll start off with the guitars. So my main guitar of choice, and I'm quite lucky that my favourite guitars are Jazzmasters, and Alex has used one of these for many years. I think he started using a Jazzmaster like this back in like the Humbug era. But this is a vintage traditional 60s Jazzmaster, Japanese. I actually got this a year or 2 ago. I was using a different one before that, but this is definitely an upgrade. Absolutely love it. With your classic Jazzmaster pickups on it. You've got the tone switch at the top as well, but I very rarely use that for Numpties, if at all. That's kind of always down. I'm playing usually just on the bridge pickup there. But yes, gorgeous guitar. I love the the sunburst colour on it. Alex used to use a black pickguard all the way through, but then on the car tour he changed to a red one like that. So that's when I got this, when I saw the red pickguard, and it's a gorgeous guitar. I pretty much use half and half through the set, so I use that for the first half of the set. I'll show you in a little while some of the sounds we get out of them, but that's used for, you know, your likes of Brian, Teddy Picker, Crying Lightning, Snap Out of It. It's got a nice, like, really light jangly tone to it, because Alex's tone's very clean, very light and jangly, so that's exactly what you get out of that. And then pretty much for the second half of the set, most of the time I'm using an Epiphone Coronet. I'll be honest, I really actually don't like this guitar, which is a fun little fact. I literally bought it because Alex has got one. He started using it again on the car era tour, started using it for body paint to start with, and then for most of the car tour he used it on pretty much the whole set until the back end where he started using half Jazzmaster, half Footswitch, which I'm glad about, so I can use this for half the set. So yeah, this is used for back end of the set, body paint, 505, fluorescent, Mardy Bum, all songs like that. It's on the one pickup, and it's got a real, like, meaty tone to it. It's beefy. Again, most of the time it's quite clean, so it's just volume and tone knobs on there, and there's not much else to say about it. It's super light, it's really thin body, you can see that, which is quite fun when you're playing live, because you can really throw it around everywhere in body paint and stuff like that. And I know some songs I've even held it in one hand up in air like this. There's no weight to it at all, so that's probably about the only thing I like about it. It's also red, and I'm not a fan of red guitars. Strings on these guitars, on both, I use D'Addario XLs 10 to 46s. Just a string I really like. I have my Action kind of mid-height, really, not low, not high, and they've got that bend to them. Again, really light, jangly sound, which is what I'm after from Alex's tone, because he beefs it up with the distortion through the pedal board and stuff, which we'll touch on in a sec. But yeah, that's what strings I use on them, on all my guitars, really. Right, let's get into the meat of the burger as such, talk about the what sounds we get out of this thing. First of all, picks wise, I'm using Dunlop Tortex floor picks, 0.5mm, really thin, kind of bendy. It's good for stuff like Brian when you're really quick. Just preference. I mean, I know a lot of the band always laugh at the fact that I use picks that are like paper, because they're that thin. And the floor ones are just a little bit shorter than a normal guitar pick. For me, that means I'm close to the strings. I just prefer that. And they've got a much sharper point on the pick as well, which, I don't know, it's just nice feel. Jack uses a similar bit in a thicker pick, so it's a lot nicer. But anyway, let's go on to actual guitars. So I'm going to show you the Jazzmaster, because that's my favourite guitar, and it's a lot of the main sounds you'll recognise. A lot of the time I'm actually using quite a clean tone, so I'll play you that now. Which you get a bit of Crying Lightning there, like the chords at the end is all just clean tone, straight from the amp. And that is used actually surprisingly for a lot of the set. There's as much as a few pedals going on here. I'm not using them very much. Now, looking at the pedal board, you'll see it looks a bit of a mess because there's lots of bright yellow tape everywhere. That is just for me to remember where all the dials need to be, because I've got my tone and my sound nailed down. I don't want to lose that. And also just for on show days when the tech sees it all, when we're resetting the stage after a support band, say, sometimes they do get knocks, they do get changed. So it's just to make sure that our guitar tech sets my pedal board exactly how it should be, so I can walk on and crack on. Now, running to the amp, there are two cables. One is running from the Footswitch, which is here, and the other is running from the end of the pedalboard chain, which is the reverb over there. Now, the Footswitch is because the amp has got its own built-in drive, so I can use that by hitting this drive button here, which turns it to red. And it adds a lot more drive onto the normal amp sound compared to without it. And it's just a little subtle bit of thickness, bit of volume onto the tone. Anyway, coming on to the normal pedal board, the main pedals I use are all distortion or overdrive related. The main one being the Rat here. This is a Proco Rat. Now, Alex Turner were famous for using two of these back in the day. Used to run one into the other, but I'm just, rather than having two of the same pedal, I've got that going into a different distortion, a different overdrive, which is the Boss Super Overdrive SD1, which is next to it. But the Rat is a much dirtier, kind of really muddy distortion sound. Now that's used for a lot of the Teddy Picker kind of riff, the Crying Lightning riff, stuff like that. So I'll hit that onto you now and you'll hear some of that. So for the Crying Lightning, for example, at the start of that song, so you can see what that's doing. Without it, it would sound pretty boring. Back on that clean tone again. And then the overdrive is just a normal drive sound, which is a little less muddy than what the distortion would do. And that's usually used for chords and stuff, or if I want it to not stand in quite as much. I'll sometimes change between these two pedals mid-song, so Crying Lightning is a perfect example. When I play the riff in the intro, I'm using the Rat. And then in the second verse, when I'm playing the riff and singing at the same time, I change to the drive so it's not as muddy and not coming through too much. So it's slightly different. The Rat also can be used for bits of Teddy Picker, for example, that are really kind of punching through the song. So you've got the chords going into the chorus. So that's used for that. And then moving on to some of the more interesting pedals, I'm going to talk about the MXR Uni-Vibe, which is only used for a very small part of our set, and that just adds a very, almost really fast, shallow tremolo onto it. Now that would be used in partnership with the Rat, which would get you Teddy Picker solo, which sounds like this. It's nothing too much, it's just a little subtle bit of texture that adds onto some solos like that. Moving on, next one, just along from the Uni-Vibe, is your Electro Harmonic Stereo Pulsar Tremolo pedal. Try and say that when you've had a few drinks. So that one is used for little bits like That's Where You're Wrong, when we play that occasionally, so you get the intro of that with that one. And then also mainly Do I Want to Know, when you combine that with the Rat, it adds a nice little subtle tremolo to the riff, which is very noticeable live. Adds a lot of texture rather than just being and playing like that, okay? Other distortion related pedals is you've got another electro harmonics, you've got the Big Muff Pi pedal over here, which is good for really heavy solos, my favourite being Don't Sit Down for that one. Which is really, really muddy, and that's about all that's used on. It would just be too much for anything else. And then you've also got a classic Behringer, but do you know what? It's the pedal that will always stay because the sound is perfect for exactly what I want, and they're about 20 quid, which is brilliant. I wouldn't play this on this guitar, but I use this for Are You Mine, and it's that really like dirty fuzz sound that Arctic Monkeys use live for that, so I'll give you that now. But again, one song, a lot of these pedals are just like one song heroes. I'll swap guitars, I will show you the Coronet now, and you'll see a few different sounds we get out of that. So yeah, moving on to the Coronet, again, just like the Jazzmaster, a lot of the time there's not much going on pedalboard wise, a lot of it is the clean tone. Now this, like I say, is a bit of a meatier, fuller sound that you get out of this, so use this for like fluorescent, adolescent, Mardy Bum, stuff like that, back end of the set stuff. Now important thing to remember is we're always basing off the live Arctic Monkeys sound rather than the album sound, so if you're thinking that doesn't sound exactly like fluorescent, it's based on the live version. So again, that would be used for this. You feel there's a lot more there than there is on the Jazzmaster. Now, one of the other pedals I'd use on the pedalboard would be the Skysurfer Reverb, which I'd use on this guitar, and that is used for 505, so you got the chords in that. Just adds a real nice little element to that, and then combine that with the Rat, and I play this song without a pick, again, just because Alex does, and that's where you get the solo for that from. So yeah, just another little nice element for songs like that. You've also got a delay, again, not used very often, that's for stuff like knee sock. A little touch. If you're wondering, there is a Behringer Multi FX there. That isn't used for Numpties at all, that is all personal use for Contrails, which is our originals bands. Go check them out, just to get a little different stuff for experimenting when we're writing. So there's chorus, flanger, phaser, everything on there. So that's what I use that for. So yeah, that's everything I've got for you pedalboard wise. Amp, I am using a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe 4, which we'll put some footage of that on screen now, as well as all the dial settings that are on the top, and you can see all that. Lovely tube amp. Me and Jack both use tube amps. They are the go, they're the best. That's where it's at. Do love it, and that's where I got all my sound from. So yeah, any questions, always let us know.
Hi guys, I'm Jack. I act as Jamie Cook in the Numpties, and today I'm going to show you my rig. This is my Epiphone Les Paul Custom Pro. it's quite an old guitar for me. I believe this might be the second ever electric guitar I got. In all honesty, I got it because I always loved that Alex Turner had the actual Gibson custom. But it's come quite useful because it turns out that the Les Paul is Jamie's in the real Monkeys, so I tend to use this for anything drop D, Pretty Visitors, things like that. It's got Ernie Ball heavy bottom slinky tops, I believe it is, or something like that, so you get the, it's not in drop D at the minute, but you get the nice kind of low bottom end of it, which is really nice for things like Pretty Visitors. Got 2 humbuckers. Can actually do coil tap. Not that I ever do that much, but it's there if you wanted it to be. Yeah, so not a guitar that I play often, but still very much a valuable part of the setup. And then the main one that I get quite a lot of questions about is this. This is like my child. This is my 1970 Gibson ES-335. It originally had a trapeze end on it, but when I got it, I retrofitted it with the Bigsby. I say I retrofitted it, I sent it to be retrofitted with the Bigsby. So it is pretty much an exact version of Jamie Cook's guitar. It's lovely. A lot of people ask what this switch is for. This coil taps the pickups, so it can do a faux single coil. Everything else about it is just a normal guitar. Pickup selector, whatever else you want to know. It's got D'Addario 10 to 46s on it. Everyone in the band pretty much uses D'Addarios, same gauge. It's nice, you can get a good deal on them on Amazon for 3 sets, so we do that. Yeah, there's not actually that much more to say about it. The strap for this guitar actually is a custom leather one that my mum bought me. Not very relevant anymore, but it is Tranquility Base themed, as that's when we started the band in that era, so it was good at the time, not so much anymore. But yeah, it's a lovely guitar. Plays really nice, looks great. Although the pickup is going in for some maintenance soon because the screw has just gone a bit loose on it. But yeah, we'll move on to the other part of this now, which is the big ass pedal board at my feet, which everyone asks about every 32 seconds. So yeah. Right, so on the pedal board down here, there is quite a lot going on, I will admit. So the chain as it goes is into the tuner, out of the tuner, into this big fella that you can see down here. This is the Gigrig G2. That essentially is a pedal switcher. So all of the pedals come into this and then it kind of routes them itself. You can change the order of them, so you don't have to change the order on the pedal board, which is handy just for certain stuff. But it means that I can change multiple pedals at once, so I don't have to tap dance along a set of pedals like this to try and get it to be another different sound. I can literally just do that and it'll change like 3 or 4 at once, or as many as you need at once, which I will talk through some of those. But my basic clean sound is just that is literally nothing but direct guitar into the Polar at the end, just for a little bit of reverb. And that is it. That's just straight into the amp. And then working along, the overdrive sound. So this now goes into the Boss OS2. You can see the settings down there, which just adds a bit of drive, you know, nothing. We're not reinventing the wheel here, it's an overdrive pedal. So from the clean you get which is pretty good. Any choruses, any drive, really, that's what I use. Then next along we have the slap solo. This isn't necessarily a massive Numpties thing. I don't ever really use this for Numpties, to be perfectly honest. I did back in the day when we weren't as good at being true to life, but now we are, so I just never replaced it because I didn't need to. But that has the overdrive, a really quick slapback delay from the Strymon timeline up there. I'll chat more about that in a bit. And a little bit of reverb that gets you this kind of nice cut through on a solo, so rather than just the normal drive being like a, you get a nice again, not necessarily a Numpties tone, but handy to have for playing it with anything else. Then this one here is a really big fuzz pedal, which is what this is. Again, this gets quite a lot of questions. This is a fuzz wah, it's called a Wau-Wau Fuzz, I believe. Another 70s addition to the rig. This is the exact same one that Jamie Cook actually has on his board. You will recognise the fuzz on this from 4 out of 5. That's the really kind of top-endy, tinny fuzz that makes the main riff. If you change that setting there. Or you can have a different fuzz depth, which goes into a bit more of an open fuzz. Which is what I tend to use for your things like Don't Sit Down and whatnot, where it doesn't have to be quite as compressed and nasty as such. But that does also have a wah built in. I never use the wah. You can use the wah if you really wanted to. You can have it with the fuzz on if you really want to. But again, why would I ever do that for monkeys? I don't need to. Then, coming along, I will actually skip the OD delay because it makes more sense to do them in a different order. So, the main next one is delay. This has the timeline and the Boss MD500. So, on the MD500, there is a tremolo, and then the timeline is doing a nice kind of like tape delay, which is pretty much the majority of Jamie Cook's sound, if I'm quite honest. You get the kind of difference between just having a which is a lot of his kind of like all that top endy stuff, all the Jamie Cook classics really is with that sound. Has a little bit of modulation on the delays just to give it a bit of depth, and you can hear the kind of warble in them. And then next along is the tube delay, which literally just has this Behringer tube screamer clone because I am way too cheap to buy an actual tube screamer for one setting on my pedal board. So that just literally adds a bit of drive to that, which is more for like your solo-y stuff. If sounds good for stuff like that. Then coming up again, octave OD. There is a TC Electronics sub and up over there. Don't use it for numpties. Used to back in the day. Still on the board. Can't be bothered getting rid of it because I would have to change the cables. Blah blah blah. And it just looked weird. I've got used to it too much now. I'm sentimental like that. But it adds octaves. We used to use it for Pretty Visitors when we didn't have enough guitarists to also have keys, guitars, vocals, blah, 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 blah. I used to do both the solo and that bit at the same time, which is what that used to be. It was actually on the octave Wau, but I've repurposed that now so you could get the type thing, and it would sound a bit better. Then there is fuzz here. This is solely for the bit in Sculptures where Jamie finally comes in. So that's got the overdrive, a nice phaser from the modulation up there, and the Polara reverb. That is literally just really use it for. I used to use it for 4 out of 5 in the verses rather than using the Wau, because I feel like the Wau is the nice special bit at the end. But now I don't, because it's now got phaser on, and it even says quite helpfully on this one, Sculpture's phaser. Everything's named, everything's nice, everything looks cool. Trem OD, again, pretty self-explanatory, all the labels are quite helpful. Overdrive, tremolo from that, bit of reverb, that's for the start of Do I Wanna Know. Adds a bit of depth. Ben also uses a tremolo in that section. Probably shouldn't both do it, but does it sound cool? Yes. Octave Wau is no longer an octave and the Wau, because I've actually repurposed this for a future Numpties endeavour, which we will have actually not done it yet by the time this video is out. The gig will be tomorrow. So that's good. This is now just stacked overdrives for our first albums thing, so that's more drive pretty much. Yeah, and then the next one over is Filter OD. It has a filter on it, I believe. It doesn't actually at the minute, I lied. This is 5 and 7, which is a overdriven tremolo. Again, I don't know why there's two. If it wanted to be what I was just talking about, it would be this. And that is the only song I would ever use that on. Which I believe we played that not very often at all. We played it when it first came out. That was about it. Yeah, we actually played it before it came out, actually, or the day of release, I think, maybe. I can't remember. I'll correct myself in the video if it was. And some guy went absolutely mental that we'd managed to learn it, but yeah, that is literally that sound. Doubt that'll ever come back out again. It's all very boring to us. And then the pretty much last one on here is Bella. It's just the delay bit for Arabella on the top. Oh my god, I can't play it. That's literally it. Because the delay on this one is slightly too long. That's literally the only difference. So the Strymon can do MIDI, which actually leads quite in nicely from that. So you may have noticed as I'm cycling through this, the screens on these change. The Gigrig can output MIDI commands. So each of these pedals gets a different patch based on which one of these I'm on. So as you can see there, that becomes slap when I'm on the slap setting. If I'm on delay, you can see Numpties main. That one is the same delay, so Numpties main again, although that does change from tape to bucket brigade delay. We'll have to look at that. Didn't know it did that. And then this one up here is now called Arabella. Again, it just becomes a lot quicker. You can see by the tap tempo there. Just ever so slightly, and it doesn't have as much tail on it. That's the only difference. And then at the very end, there's the phaser. That's just this Behringer vintage phaser. Again, don't really use it anymore, just there. Don't know, it's nice to have. That just phasers, funnily enough. What more can you say? Does what it says on the tin. And that about concludes the pedal board, I think. There's not really much else interesting to say about it. There's a little light there, in case we're on an extremely dark stage. All the cables were custom soldered, so please don't ever break one. Have my capo and my slide down there. Capos for 1 point perspective, pretty much exclusively. The slide, Tomo borrows every so often. But yeah, I think that about concludes my rig. All of it's running through a high watt studio stage. It's a 2x12 amp. It's in the other room at the minute. You might be able to hear it, but you can't see it. Yeah, the settings on that are pretty basic. Lot of treble, bit less bass, bit of mid, no reverb. Yeah, gorgeous amp. Exact same one that Jamie uses. So onto a winner, really. Pretty easy to get the sound when it is the sound. So yeah, that concludes my rig for the Numpties in car era / tranquility bass era / most of the other eras, because it's pretty versatile in case we ever have to do anything else. So yeah, now you know. Hi everyone, I'm Tomo. I play the backing guitar in the Arctic Numpties, and this is my setup for what I use for the live shows. This is the guitar I use, the Squire Mustang. This is what Tom Rowley plays. It's not a Fender light, but it does the job. And I've actually played his guitar and seen how his guitar works, and he only uses that pickup. So that's mainly why I use that pickup, so you can get that more authentic sound. The strings what I use are D'Addarios 10 to 46s, mainly because everyone else uses them and I've used them for years. And yeah, I'll roll you through all the basic controls of this setup first. So this is what I mainly use. This is just the neck pickup. This is just the neck pickup. That's off, and then this switch engages this pickup, and both of them together are in phase, and then that way are out of phase, so that gives you like a quacky sort of sound. And I'm just going to roll you through some tones of this Helix down here. This is what I use live. This Helix is basically like everything you need but without an amp. So it'll, like, that's where you plug your guitar in. And then with the XLR, that's going to your PAs out front. So basically you don't need any sort of amplifier. You just use that, use your own volume pedals, and that's it without the amplifiers. So you've got your basic, just clean, sort of sound. Then you got drive, which says what it does on the tin, and then your sort of delay sort of sounds, got that, and then your fuzzers, which is mainly used with the neck pickup for our U-Bind. So and then I've got this one fuzz what I use for the fireside guitar solo. How it goes. And then that's basically it. That's your volume pedal. It can also, if you press down on it, it can be used as like a wah. Yeah, so that's basically what I use on stage.
I am George, but most lads call me Beeve. I play Tyler in the Arctic Monkeys, but in the Numpties. This is my rig. Let's run it down. These handmade Numpties cases, well, the key shells as we call them, they're the black is painted by us, but the Numpties that is on the front is done by Carrot across the road. They've got a plate in the bottom over here where you might see some cables going into. This one's a power. These two are for the XLRs that connect into the DI box that we've got on the inside, and this one here is for the sustain pedal. So they all plug in this side, and they simply just get transferred onto the inside where we can plug it into the keyboard or the XLRs, which are currently under maintenance. But then this comes in straight back for power, which powers the keyboard. Sometimes charges your phone if you need it. So over here we've got the Brian sound, and on the Brian sound now we use an organ, and it goes a little bit something like this. Moving on to the snap out of it, I'll get more into it, but there's a couple more sounds to come with that. But on the Nord, it's just a piano, so for that one. And it's lovely, so on to the next. We have Don't Sit Down. This one's a Wurlitzer. It's just, a Wurlitzer softer piano. We can't afford a real Wurlitzer, so this is absolutely golden for us. The high sound that we have that using on the Nord
actually comes over to here, and we use the delay. So the piano that's got a DX7 full tines, I'd call it bellsy. It sounds bellsy, but with the delaying, it gives it that nice track feel that you can hear. For that to sound with and without, it goes something like this. So you see the effects really do add that world of difference for us. Oh, now this one's lit up like a Christmas tree. This is Arabella, and this actually uses the piano side and the synth side. So on the piano side only, we have the French harpsichord. So that's the bit that you can hear with the play that mirrors the guitar, where it comes in and goes. So that gives us that car tour era sound to play along with them, because they didn't do it in the Tranquility one, but they do in the car. The synth side on this is a P5 Sega synth, which just adds a very nice pad sound to it for us. And that together will go something like this. Coming through onto Teddy Picker, that's played through the organ mode again, but on this time it's a Vox organ instead of a pipe organ. So I'll come in like a... So that is great for us, that's what that sounds like. Crying Lightning, this is what Tomo plays on this again. There's nothing really special going on, just a little bit of reverb. Got a whole reverb effect going on with that. It's fairly wet. 4 out of 5. This is a grand upright piano. Once again, it's got a little bit of reverb on it. It's got soft resonance on it. So that's So that's that. Fluorescent. On the fluorescent, we use a Wurlitzer, which has a little bit of chorus on it. It comes in through the first chorus, where it just adds a little bit of an extra. Eventually comes in to mimic the guitar to. Nice. On the 505 sound that we have, this is the Vox organ again, and there's not a lot going on in the customizing section. It's just about a very dark, dingy sound. So that's coming over here. This is my favourite sound in the Numpties that we use. It's not got anything really complex going on. Like I say, it's only got just ever so slightly a bit of bass, strings and flutes going on, with a little bit of strings in the top. But it just adds that lovely sound that we all know. This is some body paint. This is just on the piano section. It's the Grand Imperial piano. Once again, a little bit of hall reverb, but that gives you Mardy Bum through that one. It's just a nice piano, but we play it from the car era, so you know. Yeah, so that's Mardy Bum. On sculptures, obviously for the car era. Now we've had a couple of different sounds for this, but this is the one that we've settled on. It comes in, it adds very nicely towards the end of the first chorus. Comes in with this lovely, lovely fade in. So what that went on to was the piano, but over on the organ it was the Vox, and it had a couple of strings and flutes down in the low end, a couple of strings and flutes in the high end. The piano is running through a twin amp, so that when it's played. So it just adds that nice addition. Just little details. It's a Royal Grand 3D piano, which gives us your nice. Moving on, we've got Fireside. Now this is a Vox, and on the synth side, an EP Polymoog. This song goes a little bit like this. And then for the part where the synth comes in, another personal favourite. So this one's Cornerstone. This is just a Grand Imperial with a little bit of reverb on it. And that's knee socks. On the knee socks we use the piano, which is the DX7 full times, and a Celeste synth sound. So that'll go something like this. Not a whole lot going on there. We've got a little bit of chorus going on with that sound, a reverb, and the effects are on the piano for that. Now, Pretty Visitors, we've got the Vox organ used once again, but this time it's quite a dark sound for this, so we go with something like this. Gives us a really nice spread across each for when it comes in later in the song of the. And that's usually when Ben's doing his silly little prance on stage. We all like to laugh at behind his back. Next we have Mirrorball, which is on a Grand Imperial once again. And that's pretty much for that. It's got a very nice dry feel to it, because after that, where it comes in, where it's the piano, bass and guitar, it's a. Which I hope's on time, if not sheep will kill me. So this is I Want to Be Yours. This is using the Wurlitzer with a soft equalizer on it, and it goes a little bit something like this. That concludes our Numpties sounds on the Nord Electro 16 semi-weighted Waterfall 73 key. Coming over to this side of the room now, we've got a MIDI keyboard, which is the MIDI Plus X63. We call it the synth here at the Numpties because, well, it does all the synth bits that we need. You could make the songs on the laptop and then they play through, go through the keyboard, which goes through the interface, which goes to a DI box, which then goes back to our rack. So a couple of the sounds that we've got for the newer stuff, the car era. This is the There Better Be a Mirrorball sound. Tomo plays this, he's currently not here. It goes like this. And that really fits well for us because we've got the keyboards, we've got the guitars, but the synth sound's something that really captures the car era. So but we're thankful to have these sounds. Cycling through, the 4 out of 5 sound comes in a bit more of a screechy organ form. Well, I'll play it for you now. Now that had it's got a significant part in 4 out of 5 the song because well, it really cuts through everything really. At times in the song, it's the only thing you can hear, so it's important that it's there. This is the 505 sound. It's a little bit different. So on the Nord, it's playing the lower side of it, but this will join in roughly about the same time as a guitar, and it just adds that extra layer of thickness and good sounds. So that goes like this. Very nice. It's one of my favourite sounds throughout the Numpty synth sounds that we've got. Swiftly moving on to my least favourite sound ever in the world. No, I can't say that. No, I'm joking. This sounds Do I Want to Know? This sound boggles me. I have no idea where it was made, but it's what the Monkees use themselves, and we've replicated it as best we can. It comes through, and it's not very majorly heard, but if it's not there, it feels a bit missing. So that goes like this. And that's usually just the drone throughout the chorus that it plays. It's not, not got any special little parts, but it's an extra piece of the puzzle. This is the Tranquility bass lead line for the synth that Tomo plays also. It comes in a little something like this. And once again, some bits that are just little details that we like to add on and try and be as show accurate as we can. If we've heard it on stage, chances are it'll be in our show. So this is the Tranquility bass. We actually use this sound on a backing track now, but before we did that, it went a little like this. It's a shame we don't use that sound anymore. It's quite fun, but like I say, it's on a backing track. Yeah, so this is the synth string sound. It's mainly just used as a synth pad. We just used to usually hold a chord with it as such, so like this. Yeah, then on to snap. This is the snap synth sound that we've got. Tomo likes to play this, and he does a much better lead line than me, but it mimics the guitar part at the end. And if I was to play a few notes for you, don't know it perfectly, but. It also has a Wurlitzer and a piano setting on it, but we only really use that if the sound is exclusively on the Nord, but this song still has a piano or Wurlitzer in it. We then go over to our plan B over here and play them in, so it's your Crying Lightnings. Or could be used on body paint. Could go for a little body paint on this. I think there's a little bit of reverb on it. I'm not quite sure. I'd like to say there is, but that's the nice thing you can do with the MIDI is add whatever sound you need it to be and have it preset. And as you can see, there's a nice little Numpties logo, so we know that it's for the Numpties. And that's all, folks.